Welcome to Ground Control. I have another micro helicopter. This is the Eachine E130. This is courtesy of Banggood. I want to thank Banggood for sending this item for review. So what comes in the box? You get this manual. It's pretty handy little color manual. There's a lot of information in it. It comes with one of these small transmitters. The transmitter functions. This button on the top left shoulder, according to the manual, changes it from mode 1 to mode 2. You have all of your trim buttons. This button is listed as the hover button. And so I think this is for fine-tuning the helicopter if it's drifting on you. Of course, you want to make sure that when it initializes, it's on a flat level surface. I would also recommend that before you fly it the first time, you do calibrate the gyro and the helicopter, so put it on a flat level surface, and then you're going to hold both sticks down to the bottom left corner for 1 to 2 seconds. You should hear a beep. You should get a fast flashing light on the helicopter, and then it will go solid again, and you know that the calibration is complete. You have all of your trim buttons, your power button. Now for arming the motors, and the motor will start spinning up. This is very similar to the Eachine E129, the way the functions work. But to start the motors up, of course you're going to hold the sticks down and out. Normally these would be throttle trim buttons, but this functions as a one-key takeoff. So after you arm the motors, you can press this button and the helicopter will come up, I think about 3 meters up off the ground automatically, and then hover. If you're getting a little bit of a drift out of the helicopter, you can hold down the hover button. You'll get a beep, and then what you want to do is apply the trim that you need to get the helicopter flying or hovering nice and stable without drifting forward or left or right. Once you get it all trimmed in, then land it. Hold down the hover button again, and I think that basically programs the trim in the transmitter so that your helicopter is well trimmed. The next time you take off, power off the transmitter, power off the helicopter, power it back up again, take back off, and it should be fine-tuned for your hover at that point. The helicopter and the transmitter are bound from the factory. If for some reason your helicopter is not binding up, you can take the canopy off of it, and there's a bind button on the receiver board. Hold that down for 1 to 2 seconds. You'll get a quick flashing light. Turn on your transmitter, it should bind up, and then you should be good to go after that. Okay, so I was kind of surprised. I looked at I reviewed the Eachine E129, and then I looked at the dimensions on this helicopter, and I knew it was slightly larger than the E129, but I want to bring the E129 in here and show you. It's quite a bit larger than the E129, more so than I had imagined. I mean, I would say that's probably about 20% larger than the E129. As a matter of fact, the blades on this one go underneath that one very easily. So this one, of course, runs off of a 1S LiPo. This runs off of a 2S LiPo. They both have brushed main motor and tail rotor motors. It uses one of these little micro JST connectors. This one, the one they sent me, is the 3 battery version, so it comes with 3 2S 700 milliamp hour 20C LiPos. So the LiPos should be able to supply a maximum of 14 amps for this helicopter. The other items that come in the box are a charger that you can connect the balance cable of the batteries to. It comes, and it was nice that they included a spare main gear, as well as 2 main rotor blades and a tail rotor blade as a spare. You get a screwdriver, and I think there's an Allen wrench in there too, maybe. No, maybe just a screwdriver. So, spare blades, spare rotor, spare gear, a charger for your batteries. When you're charging up your batteries, you'll get a red light on the charger. When the light goes out, then your battery should be fully charged. Okay, so what I like about this helicopter, and so far I've flown quite a few of these micro helicopters, but the Eachine E129 was the first one I had flown in years. And so far the Eachine E129 is the easiest beginner helicopter that I have flown. So I want to see how the E130 compares, but one thing I like about the E130 compared to E129 is it's bigger and it runs off of a 2S LiPo instead of a 1S LiPo. According to the manual, it gets about the same amount of flight time, but if you're wanting to put a micro all-in-one FPV camera on this, I looked at one of my little 450 2S LiPos, and it is 20 grams lighter than the 700 2S LiPo stock battery that comes with this helicopter. So if you can get 10 to 12 minutes of flight time out of the stock battery, I figure you could probably get 5 or 6 minutes of flight time out with a 450. And the 450s I have, even though they're old batteries, but they're 450 2S LiPos 35C, so they can supply 15.75 maximum amount of amps. But being 20 grams lighter, you could put a 6 gram micro all-in-one FPV camera on this and you would still be 14 grams lighter than stock. So I just may have to test that out. Okay, so anyway, oh, and then I had one of my subscribers post a question regarding the Eachine E129, and he stated that the Eachine E129 on the main board, on the receiver board, has pads with a label next to it that says Wi-Fi. And I had not inspected the main board on the Eachine E129, but he got me curious. So the only thing that I could think that those pads would be for a separate satellite receiver on the helicopter. So I pulled the canopy off of the Eachine E130, and I will throw a picture up on the screen. And as you can see, it has pads with a label next to it that says Wi-Fi. Now I went back through the documentation for the E130, and it does say that you can use an external satellite receiver that's a DSM2 DSMX protocol to bind to this helicopter, which means you should be able to use a hobby grade transmitter with it. So I sent a request to Eachine asking them if they could supply me with information on the wire order, you know, the pin assignments for those pads, so that I could test it with a satellite receiver. I think I have one DSM2 DSMX satellite receiver that I wouldn't mind attaching to this helicopter just to see if I could bind to it and fly it with my hobby grade transmitter. So hopefully they will get back to me, but until then, let's take it out to the field and perform the maiden flight on it, and maybe an additional flight, and see how it flies and see how it compares to the E129. I'll see you out at the field. Alright, I've got the Eachine 130 micro helicopter out here. So let's go ahead and arm it. And let's calibrate it. Okay, it says it's calibrated. And we'll arm the motors. Okay, and I'm going to try one key takeoff. Now, wind on the ground is 3 to 6. So I don't know how this is going to go. Okay, let's see if we can put it in high rate. Yeah, that's quite a bit of wind for this little helicopter. That is quite a bit of wind for this little helicopter. Alright, we're going crosswind. Now we're coming into the wind. Whoa. Don't know what that was.
Seems to want to drop the tail. Let's bring it down a little bit. Yeah, I don't think it likes this wind. See how it drops the tail? And that's just the wind pushing it. I've got it centered. I think there's a little more wind just about 10 feet in the air than there is on the ground. Okay, so well, look at that. I did not do that. It's almost like the wind is messing with the barometer or something. Okay, see that? Bringing it down. Get it out of the sun. Yeah, I think that wind may be messing with the barometer on it. You know, this altitude hold. It's nice and smooth. I think that the controls feel smoother to me with this one than it did with the E129, especially the yaw. Do you see how smooth the yaw was there? But it is not like this wind. See it? See it drop its tail? And I've got the stick. I had the stick pushed all the way forward. Now, let's see if it does that going downwind. Give it a little gas. I'm not seeing it do that going downwind. Just when it's going upwind. Let's see if we fly it slower if it does it. I'm just going to kind of nudge it here. Yeah, it doesn't seem to do it when there it goes. It just did it again, and I just turned it downwind. So I got a feeling that these breezy conditions out here are kind of messing with the barometer on it. I may have to cover that up and then try it again just to see if that's what's causing it. I think the barometer is under a little piece of black sponge on the receiver board. I think the sponge is designed to kind of prevent that, but it doesn't seem to be. I think that that's what's going on. Because I calibrated it right before I took off. Yeah, I do like the controls on this better than the 129, but I gotta figure out what's going on with that. With that barometer, at least I think I can't imagine what else it would be other than the barometer. Yeah, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to do the yaw turns with this one than it is the E129. See that? Much easier. Much easier to do coordinated turns with it. I don't know if it's a difference in the transmitter, because the transmitter is a little bit larger than the one on the E129, and see, there goes the tail again. And let's see if it does that. Let's see if it does that going crosswind. I don't see it doing it crosswind. That's mostly crosswind. I've got the stick pushed all the way forward. Let me see. Maybe that was in low rate. Whoa! I don't know. That feels more like low right now. I just dropped the tail there again. Since the sun out here, I can't even read the transmitter. Let's see what rate it. Yeah, this has got to be high rate here. Definitely don't have as much forward stick on this one as the E129. So I would say that the gyro on this one is more geared toward beginners than the one on the E129. Let me bring it down a little bit again. See, it just dropped its tail. I didn't do that. Okay, so I think what I'll do is land it and then see if I can cover up that barometer and just see what it does, you know, just to see if that's what's going on. It dropped its tail again right there. I did not do that. I'll bring it up here in the dirt, or I can land it. It just wants to drift back. Okay, so I'm just holding it down until it stops. But I am going to cover up that barometer and then see if it does the same thing. I'm just curious about that. I've never seen one do that before. Okay, so I used a piece of tape to cover up the barometer, so let's go ahead and bind to it. And let's go ahead and calibrate again. Alright, an arm. Alright, and then I'll do the 1 key takeoff again. Now, I don't know how well it will do altitude hold now that I've taped up the barometer, but and I think I've got it in low, right? Yeah. Alright, so let's go back downwind here a little bit and then do another run into the wind and see if it drops its tail again. I didn't see it that time. Alright, let's try it again. Oh, it dropped its tail again. Coming downwind. See it dropping its tail? Drop some altitude. Alright, let's just fly it around and see what it does. Definitely wants to keep climbing. Now that I've got the barometer covered up. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what that was. Fail safe? I don't know. It just stopped in midair and dropped. Alright, so let's try taking off with this again. I don't know what's going on with this little helicopter, but it seems to me that either the barometer is messed up on it or the gyro is messed up on it. I don't know. Let's try taking off again. Okay, let's calibrate. When can you take off? Yeah, that was weird. I don't know what was going on there. Maybe when I was trying to descend, maybe I held it down too long. That could be. Maybe I just held it down too long. Oh, see, it's dropping its tail again. I did not do that. No, I did not do that. See that? As soon as I let off the stick, as soon as I pushed the stick back to center, it really dropped its tail like I was pulling it all the way back. Huh. Maybe it does that every time you center the stick. Maybe it's trying to go to hover mode or something. Let me see here. Okay, I'm descending. I'm not going to I'm not going to pull the stick all the way back again. Okay, so let's do that coming into the wind. I'm going to go forward here. You see that? Yeah, it's almost like it goes into hover mode whenever you center the stick. I'm going to put a little I don't think that trim button does anything. See that? I'm not doing that. Alright, try some altitude again. But whatever you do, don't pull the throttle stick all the way down. Okay. Yeah, that yaw is nice and smooth, even in high rate. Now that's high rate. It's almost like when I change direction, it wants to go into hover mode. If I'm not pushing the stick all the way forward. There we go. I didn't do it that time. See that? Now, I think I just let the stick go to center there. And if I'm not pushing the stick forward, all the time, if I just center the stick, whoa, look at that, right over top of the truck. Yeah, I don't like that behavior. Descend again. That's a shame, you know, because the controls on this are so smooth. There it goes again. I'm gonna have to come out here in calmer wind and see if it does the same thing. I don't know what's going on with that. I didn't have the stick centered there. See, I'm still pushing it forward, and it's dropping its tail. And look how smooth that is. What a shame. There, and it dropped its tail again. I've got the stick pushed all the way forward. Alright, I'm going to put it back in whatever other mode I had it in. I don't know if that's high rate or if that's low rate. Appears to be low rate. Now let's see if it does it. Yeah, it does it in low rate too. I don't get that. I'll put it back in high rate. I'm just checking it out, testing it out to see if I can figure out what's going on with that. But you just never know when it's going to do it. It will definitely do it when you center the stick. But even when I'm pushing the stick forward, it'll do it. Just out of the blue. Full forward, full forward. I'm full forward right now. Full forward. Ooh. Oh, yeah, there's something going on with this, excuse me, with this particular helicopter. All I did was center the stick right there to make sure I brought the altitude up on it higher than the truck, so I didn't run into the truck. And it just, as it turned, it just dropped out of the sky. I don't know what's going on with it. But I definitely have a problematic helicopter, that's for sure. This something is just not working right on this helicopter, and that is a shame, because the controls on this one are pretty darn smooth. I like the way that it handles, but there's definitely something going on with the gyro system on this helicopter. I'll see you back at the HQ.
Okay, so that was just really, really strange. I would just be flying along, and I thought maybe it was because I was centering the stick, and it was almost like it was going into a hover mode. But then it also did it to me two or three times. When I had the stick pushed all the way forward, you'd be going along, all of a sudden it would just drop its tail like it was wanting to hover in place. So I don't know what was going on with that. I calibrated it every time before I took off. So, and then I covered up the barometer. I don't know, it was almost like the weight was shifting it. I don't know if the battery, the battery doesn't fit real tight. I don't know if the battery could have been maybe vibrating back and moving back and forth, changing the weight, shifting the weight on the helicopter. I don't know, or if it was just too much wind for it, because normally, whatever I'm feeling on the ground, and I checked it with my wind meter before I started the flight on the helicopter, and it was 4 to 6 on the ground. Now usually you get up in the air above 20 feet, and normally you're going to have about 50% heavier wind 20 feet up than what I'm feeling on the ground, and a lot of times you get dramatic wind shifts. Frequently, sometimes 180 degrees. It kind of flows down the canyon and then flows back, depending on what the air pressure is at one end of the canyon compared to the other end of the canyon. So I don't know if it was just too much wind for this, if the battery was shifting on it, but I do want to take it back out in calmer wind. When I'm going to get that, I don't know. In calmer wind, and see if this does the same thing. And obviously it's not the barometer, because I have the barometer completely taped up, so I will open the barometer back up the next time I take it out. I'll remove the tape. But I think what I'm going to do next time is just put a piece of tape on the back of the battery to the bottom of the cowling here, so that I know it's not the battery shifting, just to make sure. And like I said, take it out in calmer wind and see if it does the same thing. That's just really strange. I've never had one do that to me before. I hope it's just something simple like that. I just hope it was really gusty wind, when you were up about 10 feet up in the air that I couldn't feel on the ground. I'm sure you could hear the wind in the video in the camera. I looked at the video. I reviewed the video when I got back, and I could definitely hear wind in the camera. So the wind may have been more than 6 miles per hour by the time I finally got it in the air. I measured the wind probably, 10 or 15 minutes before I put it in the air. But it was so smooth. It hovered so well. I like the controls are nice and smooth on this little transmitter, and even in high rate you have very good yaw control. It took me a while to get used to the yaw control on the E129, but on this one, even in high rate, it was very easy to get used to the yaw rate, to have nice, smooth, coordinated turns with it. So I hope it's just something simple. I will take it back. I'm not going to make a conclusion on this yet. I rarely ever provide you with a conclusion after my first, couple of flights on an aircraft. But I'll take it back out when there's calmer wind. I'll tape up the battery, make sure that there's no weight shift on it, and then we'll see if I can replicate that, see if it does it again. But cool little helicopter. I hope it's just something simple like that, and it's not that I just happened to get one with a bad gyro. But we'll take it back out. And oh, and I pulled this string out just because I wanted to, I got the battery in it, and I just wanted to check and see the balance from nose to tail. Yeah, see? You know, where the battery is right now, it looks like the nose to tail balance is pretty darn good on it. Tail boom looks like it's pretty level. So I don't think, you know, it's definitely not that it's tail heavy to begin with. It's definitely well balanced, but I don't know if maybe the battery shifted on it. I'm not sure. I should have thought of that. I should have taken a look at the position of the battery before I pulled it out after I landed, but I didn't. So I will be sure and double check that next time. And like I said, I'll have it taped up so I'm confident that it won't move. But anyway, stay tuned for review part 2. I'm going to take it back out and put it through its paces again in a less wind as soon as the opportunity arises. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the air.